Eliana Alden's hand trembles as she stands on the edge of a grand ballroom terrace, her exquisite evening gown brushing the marble floor. A gust of midnight air whips through her dark hair. Inside, an elegant charity gala is in full swing, string quartets, champagne flutes, and wealthy patrons clinking glasses. Suddenly, the door behind her bursts open with a jolt, revealing Camilla Vaughn. The woman, rumor says, is James Alden's mistress. For a split second, time seems to freeze. Eliana's heart pounds in her chest as Camilla strides forward, still wearing the self-assured smile she donned all evening. Camilla's voice cuts the air like a blade. "I'm not here to fight," she says, tone dripping with insincerity. "I only came to give you a friendly warning. Don't get too comfortable in this family. Your husband's affections, well, they're not as permanent as you think." In the distance, the music continues, oblivious. Eliana can't quite breathe. Her eyes flick to Camilla's hand, noticing the same designer bracelet James once gifted Eliana on their anniversary. Adrenaline surges through her veins. She is pregnant 4 months along. She came to this event tonight to stand beside her billionaire husband, to show the world a united front. Instead, she's confronted with a living reminder of betrayal. Camilla steps closer, the cold night air doing nothing to quell her smugness. "You've probably heard the whispers," Camilla says, leaning in as though sharing a secret. "But it's no whisper if I say it to your face, right?" She lifts her chin. "I'm carrying James's child, too." The words slam into Eliana's chest like a physical blow. She feels the railing behind her pressing against her spine, as though the world is trying to push her off balance. Her mind spins. Could it be true? Is James truly this reckless, this cruel, to create not one but 2 children in the midst of a double life? She should scream, slap Camilla, demand an explanation. But in this horrifying moment, Eliana's voice fails her. She glances through the tall glass doors into the ballroom. There, under glittering chandeliers, stands James Alden, handsome, powerful, effortlessly charming, laughing with business partners, unaware that his mistress and his wife are locked in a confrontation just steps away. Before Eliana can speak, Camilla lowers her voice and tosses a final spear. "You might want to talk to his mother, Beatrice Alden, about it. She knows all about us." Then she smirks. "We've had dinners. She's welcomed me into the family. What about you?" The shock is staggering. Eliana's hand grips the terrace railing so hard her knuckles whiten. Her unborn child's future flashes before her eyes. Paparazzi storms. Humiliating headlines. Whispered gossip among the rich. She forces in a ragged breath. Why is all she can manage? Camilla shrugs elegantly, as if discussing the weather. "Because you weren't strong enough to keep him. Now you're just in my way." At that moment, the clock in the foyer chimes. And though Eliana can't fully comprehend how her life has just capsized, one thing is sure: her world will never be the same after tonight. 30 minutes earlier, Eliana had arrived at the Alden family mansion for the annual Alden Philanthropy Gala. Taxis and limousines lined the driveway. Cameras flashed from behind velvet ropes. James Alden, tech magnate and billionaire, was hosting city leaders, celebrities, and influential philanthropists. The purpose to raise funds for underprivileged youth. The reality a stage for power brokers to flaunt wealth and connections. Even as she stepped out of the limousine, Eliana felt a pang of unease. She sensed tension coursing beneath the polished veneer of James's polite smile. He'd been distant for weeks, returning from business trips with fewer words and more late-night calls. She hoped tonight might bring them closer, or at least recapture a semblance of unity. After all, she was pregnant with his child, and that had to matter. Right, but inside the mansion, the swirl of tuxedos and cocktail dresses only amplified her anxiety. Guests approached James with gleaming eyes, praising him for his cutting-edge AI company and philanthropic gestures. Eliana stood by his side, but their hands never touched. Every time she tried to engage him in conversation, he seemed distracted by an approaching VIP or pressing business text. She felt invisible, overshadowed by the public persona he wore so effortlessly. Near the bar, she spotted Beatrice Alden, James's mother, regal, poised, every strand of her gray-streaked hair neatly in place. Eliana approached, hoping for a quick exchange of warmth, but Beatrice offered little more than a perfunctory greeting. "You look well," she said with a polite nod, her gaze sweeping down to Eliana's barely noticeable baby bump before flicking away. If Beatrice had deeper thoughts, she kept them hidden behind the practiced smile of a high society matriarch. This was the woman who had once welcomed Eliana into the family, albeit with mild caution. When James proposed, Eliana remembered how, on that day, Beatrice had offered a faint smile and said, "We Aldens take our legacy seriously. I trust you'll do nothing to tarnish it." The words had felt like an unspoken test. Now, years later, Eliana couldn't shake the sense that she might be failing it. Elsewhere in the Grand Hall, Camilla Vaughn glided between clusters of admirers. Eliana only knew Camilla by name, a model-turned socialite with rumored ties to powerful investors. She noticed how James would occasionally glance in Camilla's direction, as though verifying her presence. The uneasy churn in Eliana's stomach deepened. Eventually, the time for James's welcoming speech arrived. He took the podium, thanking sponsors, highlighting philanthropic achievements, and praising the generosity of all involved. The audience applauded. Cameras zoomed in on his bright smile. Eliana stood off to the side, half expecting him to mention her or their upcoming child. He did not. In that moment, Eliana felt overshadowed not just by the lights and cameras, but by an unspoken web of secrets tangling around her marriage. She swallowed her disappointment, conscious of the entire room watching. Appearances mattered here, and she'd been taught that a billionaire's wife must remain composed. If only she could have predicted how quickly that composure would crumble. She might have run from the mansion right then, because the real heartbreak lurking beyond those gilded doors was about to ambush her on the terrace in the cruelest way possible. Back at the terrace moment, seconds after Camilla's smug confession, Eliana's mind reels. The injustice she feels is twofold. First, the blatant betrayal by her husband. Second, the possibility that his own mother might be complicit. It makes her question her entire life. Every vow, every promise, every tender moment are shared with James. But this humiliation didn't sprout from nowhere. Seeds of doubt were planted months ago. Eliana recalls how her concerns were repeatedly dismissed. The small clues she uncovered: perfume traces on James's business coat, cryptic late-night phone calls he claimed were urgent overseas negotiations, and the times he returned from trips with a restlessness she couldn't define. Whenever she raised these points, James brushed them off, telling her she was too sensitive. That sense of being emotionally dominated, of feeling powerless in her own home, began to gnaw at Eliana. But she stayed silent because she feared confrontation would drive him further away. Now she sees where that silence has led her: a public, merciless confrontation with the woman who might be pregnant by her husband. A woman who claims James's mother has already approved. A wave of shame hits Eliana as she stands on that terrace. She wonders if people in the gala suspect anything, if they're merely waiting for the tabloid-worthy drama to erupt. The swirling dresses and polite laughter behind the glass doors suddenly feel ominous, like a stage set for her personal tragedy. Camilla's final words echo, "You weren't strong enough to keep him." The barb slices through Eliana. She's not even sure if it's untrue. She had chosen patience over conflict, trusting that James would snap out of his secretive behavior once he realized their child was coming. She believed that their vow would prevail. Yet here she stands, blindsided and humiliated. Her stomach tightens with dread for her unborn child. Will this baby inherit a broken family legacy? Will James be just another absent father who showers gifts rather than love? She can't bear the thought of a lonely child repeating this cycle of betrayal. From inside, she hears James's voice, calm and confident, mixing with the gentle hum of donors praising his brilliance. It sickens her to realize he can still wear that polished mask while the mother of his child is left reeling. Camilla straightens her posture. I can see this conversation is intense, she says sarcastically. But I wanted you to know I'm not leaving, whether you sign divorce papers or not. James and I are very much involved. Eliana clenches her jaw. Her mind screams for her to do something, yell, throw a drink, drag James into the open. But she's frozen. She feels the crushing weight of a society that expects her to maintain dignity at all costs. Even her unborn baby's well-being depends on her not making a reckless scene. In that suffocating swirl of emotion, a single truth crystallizes: she must protect herself and her child first. If the Aldens have chosen Camilla's side, then Eliana must find her own strength. It's a new feeling, equal parts fury and heartbreak, but it might be her only lifeline in a battle she never asked for. Unseen by both Eliana and Camilla, a silent observer stands behind a stone column. It's Grace Whitfield, a longtime friend of the Alden family, though friend might be too strong a word. She's more of a business associate, a watchful presence at many Alden events, keenly attuned to the undercurrents of power. Tonight, Grace inadvertently stumbled onto the terrace, only to witness the explosive confrontation. Her heart races as she pieces together the shocking revelation. She may not be intimately close to Eliana, but she's always admired her gentle spirit. She also has her own reasons for resenting Camilla, who, rumor has it, ruined more than one marriage on her climb up the social ladder. Seeing Eliana cornered and devastated lights a spark in Grace, an urge to help, even if she must tread carefully. Grace's mind whirls with the potential fallout. Beatrice Alden is fiercely protective of the Alden name. If she truly endorsed Camilla behind Eliana's back, that spells deeper trouble. Could the Alden matriarch be orchestrating a future marriage for James and Camilla to consolidate business alliances? It wouldn't be the first time old money families use marriage as a business strategy. As Camilla strolls back into the ballroom, face alight with smug victory, Grace watches Eliana remain on the terrace, trembling with emotion. Grace contemplates stepping forward. In high society circles, taking sides can cost you everything. Yet something about Eliana's vulnerable silhouette under the moonlight tugs at Grace's conscience. She slips back inside, forging a plan. First, she glides through the crowd, listening to snippets of chatter. She confirms her suspicions. Camilla's rumored pregnancy is being quietly whispered about. A few guests even speculate that Eliana might leave the Alden family. The rumor mill is spinning, and it's only a matter of time before tabloids pick up the story. Grace edges closer to Beatrice Alden, who is speaking in hushed tones with one of the city's influential bankers. Beatrice's expression is poised, but her eyes flick about like someone containing a storm of secrets. Grace can almost see the wheels turning behind that polished exterior, calculating how best to shield the family name. Meanwhile, James is across the room, entertaining a cluster of investment partners. He looks confident, but Grace notices a subtle tension in his posture. Perhaps the guilt is weighing on him, or maybe he senses the night is about to implode. Grace wonders if he even knows Camilla confronted Eliana. If he does, he's hiding it with masterful skill. Debating her next move, Grace steps toward a quiet corner, pulling out her phone. She contemplates sending Eliana a text, just a few words of solidarity. But what would she say? That I saw everything. You're not alone. That might be enough to let Eliana know she has at least one ally in a sea of sharks. Yet she hesitates, well aware that offering support could put a target on her back. The Aldens can be ruthless when it comes to protecting their empire. Still, a flicker of empathy prevails. Grace begins typing. If there's ever a time to break the silence, it's now. Tap. Message sent. She'd exhale shakily. If you ever need someone on your side, I'm here. She only hopes it's not too little, too late. Because from the look in Camilla's eyes earlier, the real power play has only just begun. Inside the Alden Mansion's main hall, the charity auction is about to begin. The auctioneer takes the stage, spotlight illuminating priceless art pieces, luxury vacations, and rare collectibles. Guests shuffle toward their seats, eager to show off generosity or outbid rivals. It's a centerpiece of the evening, a place for James to shine as the philanthropic mogul. But behind the scenes, tension simmers. Eliana slips in from the terrace, face pale, eyes moist with suppressed tears. She spots James near the stage, scanning the crowd with an air of practiced confidence. For a fleeting moment, she thinks about marching straight up to him and demanding answers. But a swirl of camera flashes and murmuring onlookers reminds her that any confrontation here would be a public spectacle. Instead, she stands at the periphery, remembering Camilla's threat. Could James's mother really have welcomed that woman into the family? The notion stabs her heart. Her phone buzzes a message. She glances down. It's from Grace Whitfield, the discreet acquaintance. The words are brief. I heard some things. If you need me, I'm here. Eliana breathes a small sigh of relief. At least she's not completely alone. Still, her mind churns. How long has Camilla been weaving her web? If Beatrice is involved, what does that mean for Eliana's future and for her baby? She pictures herself blindsided in divorce court, overshadowed by the Alden Empire's legal might. The fear sinks in deeper. A hush falls as the auctioneer calls for attention. James ascends the steps to share a few remarks. Standing in the glow of the spotlight, he looks every bit the visionary billionaire, tall, composed, with a voice that carries authority. Thank you all for coming, he begins. Speaking of compassion, outreach programs, and bridging gaps between privilege and poverty. Applause erupts. Eliana can't decide whether to feel proud or betrayed. This is the man she loved, once admired for his intelligence and ambition. Now she sees a chasm between the philanthropic facade and the personal betrayals hidden behind it. As the crowd claps, she notices Camilla slip through a side door, phone pressed to her ear. Instantly, Eliana suspects another clandestine conversation, maybe with a tabloid, or perhaps with James's mother. She can't be sure. Beatrice, seated in the front row, maintains an unreadable expression. Her gloved hands rest on her lap, eyes fixed on James. Yet Eliana detects the faintest smirk tugging at the corner of Beatrice's mouth whenever the name Alden is mentioned. It's as though she's savoring the brand identity more than the actual cause. Does she know Camilla is about to upend her son's marriage, Eliana wonders? Or is she orchestrating it? The thought feels conspiratorial. But nothing about tonight suggests innocence. Eliana's gaze shifts to a security camera perched discreetly in an upper corner. She imagines the footage being reviewed someday, capturing glimpses of her heartbreak, James's performance, and Camilla's quiet power moves. In a world of wealth, information is currency, and secrets seldom stay buried for long. The auction proceeds, tens of thousands of dollars pledged with each flick of a bidder's paddle. Eliana stands in the shadows, hugging herself as if to protect the fragile life growing within her own. She sees no easy escape from this labyrinth of betrayal. A creeping realization dawns. Stepping away might be the only path to preserve her dignity. Yet the heartbreak of losing James and the father of her child still feels unbearable. As the gavel slams on a final item, the crowd applauds. James beams under the spotlight. Eliana's heart aches with the knowledge that behind that polished smile lies a world of secrets that may soon devour them both. Hours later, Eliana finds herself in a quiet corner of the estate, near a small library lined with gilded books. She'd excused herself from the gala, claiming fatigue. Truthfully, she needed to flee the spectacle of James and Camilla's proximity. In the hushed library, she flips through a family photo album she discovered on a side table, a relic from a previous Alden generation. The photos reveal old black and white images of James's ancestors, steel tycoons, land barons, philanthropic icons. And then, in the final pages, a younger Beatrice Alden, cradling an infant James. Her expression, though proud, bears a sternness that suggests the immense weight of family legacy. Eliana exhales, thinking of her own past, where James's lineage boasts centuries of prestige. She comes from humble farmland in Mapleton, raised by parents who valued honesty and love over status. She recalls her early years waking before dawn to help her father with chores, saving pennies in a jar just to buy secondhand books. She was the first in her family to attend college. Meeting James had felt like a fairy tale come to life. He was brilliant, warm, seemingly unconcerned with her modest background. At first, Beatrice tolerated her. Over time, though, subtle comments chipped away at Eliana's confidence. An Alden wife must understand the importance of alliances. Or perhaps you should focus on charity luncheons rather than your day job. Eliana resisted. She cherished her independence, working for a nonprofit that helped battered women. She'd grown used to forging her own path. But after marriage, the glamour of being an Alden overshadowed her convictions. She found herself attending events, smiling for cameras, wearing gowns that cost more than her parents' monthly mortgage. Little by little, she compromised who she was just to fit an image. Tonight hammered home the brutal truth: she never truly fit. And maybe Beatrice has been waiting for an excuse to replace her. Camilla, with her social polish and cunning ambition, might be a better match for the Alden Empire. A tear slips down Eliana's cheek as she closes the album. Could she have done more to stand her ground before the cracks widened? And maybe her fear of losing James made her ignore the warning signs. She presses a hand against her baby bump, silently vowing that no matter what happens, she won't abandon who she is again. The library door creaks open. Grace Whitfield steps in, eyes darting around to ensure privacy. She approaches softly. "Are you all right?" she asks, voice low. Eliana forces a weak smile. Grace hesitates, then blurts, "I saw you with Camilla earlier. I heard things." She glances at Eliana's stomach, genuine concern on her face. "Look, I know I'm not your closest friend, but I can't stay silent." Eliana nods, tears threatening to break free again. "Thank you," she whispers. "I appreciate it more than you know." Grace takes a seat beside her. "There's talk that Beatrice is pressuring James to formalize a new arrangement," she says carefully. "Something that benefits the family business. Camilla's name keeps coming up. I don't know the full details, but rumors spread fast." Nausea churns in Eliana's stomach. A wave of dizziness. She realizes she hasn't eaten all night. Why would she do that? She breathes. Grace grimaces. Because Alden legacy trumps everything else. In that moment, Eliana understands the magnitude of the forces against her. This isn't just about James straying. It's about a powerful dynasty that might see her as disposable. She steels herself with a fresh resolve. The quiet, small-town girl inside her might be frightened, but she's not powerless. And she won't let them decide her fate without a fight. A tense silence fills the Alden mansion's master bedroom as James shuts the door behind him. It's past midnight. The gala concluded an hour ago. Eliana stands by the window, arms folded protectively across her chest. The city lights glimmer beyond the glass, a stark contrast to the darkness enveloping her marriage. James exhales. "We need to talk." His voice is low, heavy with guilt. Eliana doesn't turn around. She stares at the skyline, dreading what he might say. Yet she can't remain silent anymore. She spins to face him, eyes hardened. "Camilla cornered me tonight," she says, voice trembling. "She claimed you two have been involved, that she might be pregnant, and she mentioned your mother." He flinches. The raw pain in Eliana's tone cuts through his practiced composure. With shoulders sagging, he walks closer. "I'm sorry, he begins, searching for words. "Things between me and Camilla started as business. She represented a group of European investors. It was supposed to be a straightforward negotiation until it got personal. Eliana's heart twists. She remembers the nights he was away on business, the unanswered calls, cryptic messages. So you admit it, you slept with her. You made me a fool. His jaw tightens, and he looks down. Yes, he whispers, voice laced with shame. But believe me, I had no idea about a pregnancy. If she's telling you that, I don't know, she's manipulative. She might be lying. Eliana shakes her head, tears shining in her eyes. And what about your mother? James, she's supposedly supportive of this affair, of Camilla stepping into my place. He runs a hand through his hair, frustration evident. Mother found out. She confronted me, threatened me unless I realign certain business ventures, partner with specific families, or salvage certain deals. Camilla is the link to those deals. Mother sees her as an asset. Eliana, I never wanted this, but there's so much pressure. Those words only deepen her ache. Pressure, so you traded our marriage for a contract. He steps forward, trying to touch her arm. She steps away. I was cornered. The Alden board expects expansions and new alliances. Camilla said if I ended it, she'd sabotage everything. She has connections, damaging ones. Tears fill his eyes. I'm not excusing myself. I know I betrayed you. 1,000 emotions collide in Eliana's chest: sorrow, anger, betrayal, the faintest flicker of pity. She thinks about her unborn child and wonders how to raise them in a family built on lies. I can't even look at you right now. She manages. I believed we were building a life together, and all along, you were negotiating our marriage like a business. James clenches his eyes shut. I've tried to protect you from the worst of it. You're pregnant. I didn't want to stress you. But yes, my mother is pressuring me to end our relationship if you refuse to play along. The Alden brand is at stake. Apparently, Eliana's stomach churns. She's been reduced to a piece on a chessboard, overshadowed by money and power. Yet somewhere in James's broken confession, she sees a flicker of the man she once fell in love with, torn, manipulated, but complicit nonetheless. Her voice barely above a whisper. She responds, then you've already lost me. And in that moment, the depth of their shared tragedy hits her, because no matter how regretful he looks now, the damage feels irreparable. She can't trust him, and she won't be a pawn in Beatrice Alden's grand design. Dawn breaks over the Alden estate with an eerie stillness. Eliana has spent the remainder of the night in the guest bedroom, unable to share the same bed with James. Her eyes sting from tears. Each breath feels labored. She's grappling not just with heartbreak, but with the stark reality of how easily her life can be manipulated by the Alden's wealth. In the pale morning light, she quietly gathers a small suitcase. She's not certain where she'll go, perhaps to a hotel, or maybe back to Mapleton to see her parents. For she can slip away. Though, a soft knock interrupts her. She opens the door to find Beatrice Alden standing there, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit despite the early hour. Eliana, Beatrice begins, voice calm. James told me about your misunderstandings. Misunderstandings, Eliana retorts, stifling the anger rising in her chest. Your son admitted he had an affair with Camilla Vaughn. Beatrice's face remains a mask of cool composure. We're all under pressure. Sometimes alliances require difficult decisions, but it doesn't have to ruin the family. If you remain discreet, you can still benefit from being an Alden. Eliana's stomach twists. You want me to pretend nothing happened, to share my husband with that woman, just to maintain your precious brand? Beatrice lifts her chin. I'm offering a compromise. The Alden empire is larger than any single mistake. You have your child to think about. Don't let emotions blind you. In our world, many wives turn a blind eye for the sake of legacy. You'll have financial security, status, everything you could want. Tears burn in Eliana's eyes. She thinks of the countless nights she believed in love, in loyalty, in a true partnership. Now, to hear it reduced to a transactional arrangement is almost too much to bear. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I won't degrade myself or my child for money. Beatrice's lips press into a thin line. That's unfortunate. If you walk away, you risk far more than you realize. Tabloids will devour you. Any settlement you seek could be dragged through court for years. And if Camilla truly carries James's child, the situation becomes more complicated. We can handle it discreetly if you cooperate. The unspoken threat rings loud and clear. Eliana's heart pounds. Every fiber of her being screams to run, yet she also feels an urge to stand her ground. I'm stronger than they think. She straightens her shoulders. If the cost of peace is my self-respect, then count me out. With that, she attempts to step past Beatrice. A fleeting moment of tension crackles in the air. Then Beatrice shifts aside, allowing Eliana to leave. Moments later, Eliana descends the sweeping staircase, suitcase in hand. James appears at the bottom, disheveled, eyes red. He opens his mouth to speak, but she brushes by him without a word. She's done giving him second chances. Outside, the morning chill bites her skin. She spots a single sedan parked under the manicured arches of the driveway. Her driver from last night is gone. No staff appears. She's on her own. Gripping the suitcase, she heads off the estate grounds on foot, tears sliding down her cheeks as the magnitude of her choice sets in. She's leaving the home she once thought would bring her a fairy tale future. Now, all that remains is heartbreak and a fiery resolve to protect her child at any cost. After trudging half the mile down the winding road from the Alden estate, Eliana's feet ache. She left in such haste she forgot comfortable shoes. Her phone buzzes incessantly, texts from James, missed calls from unknown numbers. She ignores them all. She can't deal with more confrontation right now. Her tears have dried into a numb, hollow feeling. As she rounds a bend, a familiar car pulls up. The window rolls down, revealing Grace Whitfield. "Hop in," Grace says. Eliana hesitates, accepting help from someone she barely knows is risky, but the sting of betrayal still raw. She figures it can't be worse than walking alone. She slides into the passenger seat, hugging her suitcase. Grace glances at Eliana, concern etched across her features. "I guessed you'd storm out. Didn't think you'd do it on foot. Though," she says softly, Are you okay?" Eliana shakes her head, unable to form a coherent answer. Grace doesn't push. Instead, she drives in silence for a few minutes, giving Eliana space to breathe. The farmland whizzes by, a reminder of simpler times and the life Eliana left behind. Eventually, Grace speaks up. "I can drop you at a hotel, or you can come to my place. I have a guest room. No pressure." Deep down, Eliana wants independence, but with nowhere else to go in the city and an unborn child to think of. She relents. "Your place." "Thank you," she whispers, voice trembling. Grace nods, then turns the car toward her apartment in an upscale but discreet neighborhood. As they drive, she fills Eliana in on bits of intel she's gleaned. Camilla is definitely pushing for a bigger role in the Alden empire. She's told a few people she's guaranteed a seat at the table. Also, I heard rumors the Aldens are finalizing a major international merger. Something about needing a strategic partner to keep their brand afloat. That might explain why Beatrice is so keen on a new alliance. Eliana's heart sinks. So this is bigger than just an affair. It's about forging alliances that could be threatened by Eliana's refusal to cooperate. She can almost see the tabloid's pregnant Alden wife walks out, putting multi-million-dollar deal in jeopardy. It's terrifying how swiftly her personal heartbreak bleeds into a corporate crisis. When they arrive, Grace's apartment is a comforting contrast to the Alden mansion. It's modestly furnished, yet warm, with sunlight streaming through wide windows. She leads Eliana to a cozy guest room, offering fresh linens and a borrowed phone charger. A wave of relief crashes over Eliana as she sits on the bed. She's exhausted, physically and emotionally, but for the first time since discovering the affair, she senses a glimmer of hope. She left the toxic environment. She has a safe haven, no matter how temporary. Grace hovers in the doorway. "Get some rest. We'll figure out the next steps. You're not alone in this." Eliana meets her gaze with gratitude. She doesn't know Grace's full story or motivations, but right now, she's the only friend stepping forward. As the apartment quiets, Eliana touches her belly and silently vows, "I'll protect you, no matter what I have to do next." Eliana wakes to a stark morning sky outside Grace's window. A quick check of her phone reveals a barrage of messages from James, including voicemails pleading for a talk. She deletes them without listening. Another message catches her eye, this one from a law firm representing the Alden estate. Her pulse spikes as she opens the email. It's from a senior partner at the firm, expressing concern for her well-being and stating that any discussions about separation or custody should proceed through official channels. The language is icy, hinting that if Eliana seeks a divorce, the Aldens will counter with aggressive measures to protect their name and assets. In other words, prepare for battle. A sob catches in Eliana's throat. She sets the phone aside, fighting a swell of anxiety. Only 2 days ago, she was a respected billionaire's wife. Now she feels like an outcast threatened by the very family she married into. She strokes her belly, whispering, "I won't let them bully us." Grace, hearing movement, appears in the doorway. Eliana shows her the email. Grace skims it, brow furrowing. They're playing hardball. They want to scare you into submission. Eliana steels her spine. "I won't break. If they want to fight, I'll find a lawyer who isn't afraid of them." A spark of determination flares within her. She might be an emotional wreck, but she won't surrender her child's future. Grace nods approvingly. "I know someone, Benjamin Reyes. He's not your typical society lawyer. He represented a friend of mine in a messy corporate dispute and actually won. He's discreet and doesn't mind going up against the big guns." They arrange a meeting for later that afternoon. Time feels like an enemy, every hour weighed down by Eliana's sense of urgency. She needs to secure her rights before the Aldens manipulate the narrative. If Camilla truly is pregnant, they might try to position her as James's legitimate partner, especially if they can claim Eliana walked out or abandoned the marriage. The weight of that possibility gnaws at Eliana. She imagines tabloids spinning her departure as instability or an unfit mother scenario. She recalls Beatrice's chilly warning. This is how they operate, she thinks grimly, burying opponents beneath endless litigation. When she and Grace arrive at Benjamin Reyes's modest office, the difference from Alden world is striking. No marble floors, no champagne service, just practical furnishings and a coffee machine in the corner. Benjamin, a tall man with a calm demeanor, greets them politely. Eliana takes a seat, inhaling a shaky breath before relaying everything James's affair. Beatrice's demands, Camilla's threats, the emailed notice from the Alden firm. Benjamin listens intently. When she finishes, he leans back, expression sympathetic. They'll try to bury you in legal intimidation, but the law still upholds certain protections for spouses, especially a pregnant one. We can file for a legal separation, secure financial support, and possibly a restraining order if they harass you. The key is controlling the narrative, because high-profile divorces can be public spectacles. Eliana exhales relief. Finally, someone with a plan. "Thank you," she murmurs, tears of gratitude brimming. "I just want to ensure my baby's future is safe." Benjamin nods, a reassuring smile tugging at his lips. "Then let's take this one step at a time. We'll prepare for the worst, but aim for the best possible outcome. I'm on your side." Eliana, for the first time since the confrontation on the terrace, she feels genuine hope. The Aldens may have endless resources, but she has truth, determination, and a growing circle of allies. Sometimes, that's all it takes to topple giants. A week passes in tense limbo. Eliana, staying at Grace's apartment, communicates only through her lawyer. She endures constant worry about the baby's health, scheduling prenatal checkups while trying to stay under the media's radar. Grace ensures the paparazzi can't easily track them, but rumors swirl in society pages about trouble in the Alden household. One morning, as Eliana sorts through legal documents, the door intercom buzzes. She stiffens, half expecting to see tabloid photographers. Instead, the monitor shows James Alden himself, disheveled in a rumpled suit. His eyes look hollow. Grace glances at Eliana, silently asking permission. Eliana sighs and gives a reluctant nod. She can't hide forever. Minutes later, James stands in Grace's living room, shoulders slumped like a man defeated. Eliana, he breathes, voice cracking. She stands at a distance, arms folded protectively. The tension is thick. He holds out a thick envelope. These are documents from my mother. She wants you to sign. It's a settlement offer. His eyes fill with shame. Essentially, they're trying to pay you off to finalize a quiet divorce, with NDAs to keep it away from press. Anger flares in Eliana, so they can push me out and install Camilla, right? She glances at the envelope but doesn't touch it. How dare they, after everything you and your mother have done? James shakes his head. I won't defend her. But know this, my mother's also pressuring me with business deals. Our board threatens to remove me as CEO if the scandal isn't contained. Our stock is plummeting. Investors are edgy. This agreement is her last-ditch strategy to salvage the Alden brand before she calls a shareholders meeting to force me out. Eliana's posture stiffens. For a fleeting second, pity stirs in her. She remembers James as the brilliant man she once admired, but she steels herself. You made your choices. You betrayed us. I'm done letting you manipulate me. He nods, tears brimming. I don't want to lose you or our child. I ended things with Camilla. She's furious, but I told her it's over. I swear it. He lowers his gaze, voice trembling. I'm ready to step away from the board if it means I can fix this. A flicker of doubt crosses Eliana's mind. Is he sincere? Or is this just another tactic to protect his empire? She thinks about how easily he fell into Camilla's trap. She thinks about the shame, the heartbreak she endured. Then she sees his sunken eyes and wonders if he finally realizes the depth of his mistakes. Before she can respond, the door bursts open and Grace reappears, phone in hand. Eliana, you need to see this, she says. Eyes wide. She hits play on a video posted just minutes ago by a local gossip website. Grainy footage shows Camilla stepping out of a sleek car, cradling her stomach as she tells a reporter, James Alden is the father of my baby, and we have big plans. The rest is behind us. She smiles sweetly at the camera. We're already in talks about our future together. Eliana's breath catches. Her eyes flick to James. He looks horrified. This is new, he stammers, flustered. I didn't know she'd do that. Tears threaten to overwhelm Eliana again. So Camilla's still forging ahead. A public claim. Does James even have control? Anymore, James grips the envelope. Don't sign anything. He pleads softly. Not until I can prove I truly love you and our child. Please. Eliana stands frozen, heart torn. She's not sure if it's too late or if this is the moment she reclaims some semblance of power. All she knows is Camilla just escalated the war and the final confrontation looms closer than ever. By afternoon, the Camilla interview spreads like wildfire. Tabloid headlines scream, Billionaire love triangle, and James Alden's secret baby mama speaks out. Online forums buzz with speculation. Some sympathize with Eliana. Others question if she drove James away. The venom of public scrutiny sinks its teeth into her fragile sense of calm. James, desperate to contain the fallout, arranges a private meeting with Eliana, Camilla, and Beatrice, hoping to broker a ceasefire. Eliana initially refuses. The thought of sitting face-to-face with Camilla makes her stomach lurch. But Benjamin, her lawyer, advises that it might be a chance to gather evidence or clarity, particularly regarding Camilla's pregnancy claims. They convene in a neutral, upscale law office downtown. The tension is palpable. Camilla arrives first, dressed in a sharp designer suit that barely conceals a slight bump. She looks radiant, triumphant even. Beatrice Alden appears moments later, posture rigid, eyes flicking between Camilla and Eliana like a general assessing battlefield positions. James is last to enter. He appears anxious, but firm. instructing the attorneys to keep the meeting off the record. He glances at Eliana, offering a tight nod, perhaps his way of saying, "Trust me," though she can't bring herself to reciprocate. The discussion begins with formalities. Then Camilla unleashes her demands. "I want acknowledgement that James is the father. I want a secure financial arrangement, health coverage, and an estate to raise our child in. Publicly, I want the Alden brand to clarify that I'm not some fling. I'm James's partner." Eliana's hands clench under the table. Melide. She looks to Beatrice, who remains silent, face unreadable. Is this exactly what Beatrice wants for Camilla to overshadow Eliana? If so, the next moment shatters that illusion. Beatrice's voice cuts the air. "We need proof this is James's child. A paternity test." Her tone is cold, authoritative. "I won't jeopardize the Alden name based on hearsay." Camilla's eyes flash with indignation. She stammers, I'm sure, James and I." But Beatrice lifts a hand. "Proof." She shifts her gaze to James. "Any child that claims the Alden heritage must be verified. No exceptions. You know this." James, to Eliana's surprise, nods. "I'm not denying responsibility if it's mine. But let's do the test." Camilla bristles, gaze swinging toward Eliana as though she's the reason for this sudden hurdle. Eliana says nothing, trying to remain stoic. Inside, her heart pounds. If Camilla's lying, the test will expose it. If she's truthful, it cements the affair's ultimate betrayal. Beatrice's lawyer hands over forms for consent. Camilla hesitates, then signs. Meanwhile, Eliana's attorney quietly records every detail. James corners Camilla with a direct question. "Why go public with the interview?" His voice is stern. "Surprising, Eliana. We agreed to keep this private. You blindsided me." Camilla lifts her chin. "You said you'd handle it, but you've been dragging your feet. I refuse to be hidden any longer. This baby deserves recognition. If that means going to the press, so be it." A heavy silence falls. In that silence, Eliana notices something new, a flicker of fear in Camilla's eyes. Is it possible her claim of pregnancy might not be as straightforward as she's pretended? Beatrice stands abruptly. "We're done here. Once the results come in, we'll proceed accordingly." She glances coldly at Eliana. "Meanwhile, I trust you won't complicate matters further." Eliana bristles. She's had enough of Beatrice's veiled threats. The real war is just beginning. But for the first time, the battlefield might shift in her favor. Because if Camilla's pregnancy is the lie Eliana suspects, the entire power dynamic could change overnight. 2 weeks crawl by as everyone awaits the paternity test results. The tabloids keep swirling. Photos of Camilla's slight baby bump dominate gossip blogs, while commentators speculate that Eliana's unborn child is no longer the heir in line if Camilla's child is also James's. The noise is suffocating, but Eliana tries to focus on self-care, following her obstetrician's advice to remain calm. James sends messages daily, updating her on the test status and apologizing repeatedly. He claims he's canceled every meeting with Camilla, ignoring her calls. He's also stepping back from Alden board duties to lower the media's frenzy. Eliana is cautious. She's heard these promises before, yet a small part of her wonders if he truly regrets letting greed and temptation destroy their marriage. One afternoon, while Eliana is at Grace's apartment, her phone buzzes with an unknown number. She answers, bracing for more harassment. Instead, a trembling voice says, "Eliana, it's me, Camilla." Eliana nearly ends the call on instinct, but something in Camilla's tone stops her. Camilla exhales shakily. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need help." She stumbles over words. "My finances. I'm behind on payments for my condo. The press hounding me. And James blocked me after I confronted him. I'm alone." Eliana closes her eyes, frustration mingling with pity. This woman wreaked havoc on her life, yet she sounds genuinely desperate. "Why call me?" Eliana asks, voice tight. A stifled sob crackles through the line. "Because I have no one else. The Aldens cut me off. My old modeling connections vanished. People see me as toxic now. I'm not sure if the test will come back proving James is the father. She breaks off, voice shaking. Eliana's heart pounds. Are you even sure he's the father? She can't believe she's having this conversation. Camilla hesitates. I was with someone else around the same time. I thought it was James's child because I wanted it to be his, but now I'm scared it might not be. A jolt of realization hits Eliana. This might be the break we need. If Camilla deceived James, if the baby isn't truly an Alden, then everything changes. Still, Eliana can't ignore the damage Camilla caused. What do you want from me? Camilla's voice wavers. I don't know. Mercy, a chance to start over. If the test proves it's not James's baby, I'm lost. I was used to living on the edge, but this is different. Eliana closes her eyes, recalling the anguish of that terrace confrontation. Part of her wants to lash out, to call Camilla a liar and slam the phone down. Another part, shaped by her work at nonprofits and compassion for broken people, wonders if Camilla truly regrets her manipulative climb. I can't fix what you did, Eliana finally says, voice steady but not unkind. You hurt me. You hurt James. But if you're telling the truth, you need to come clean publicly. Don't wait for the test to ambush everyone. Confess now, Camilla sniffles. I'll think about it. They hang up. Eliana's emotions swirl. Did she just hand an olive branch to the woman who shattered her life? Possibly. But if there's any redemption to be found in this fiasco, maybe it lies in honesty rather than revenge. She sits on the edge of the couch, hand on her belly. For the first time in weeks, there's a fragile sense of calm, a calm that might be shattered soon, depending on what that test reveals. The day finally arrives. A sealed envelope from the DNA lab is delivered to Benjamin Reyes' office. Eliana, James, Beatrice, and Camilla gather there, tension thick enough to slice. Nobody speaks as Benjamin carefully opens the envelope. The hush is deafening. He reads silently, brow furrowing in surprise. Then he lifts his gaze. These results indicate 0% probability that James is the father of Camilla's unborn child. Camilla's face pales. She staggers backward, pressing a hand to her mouth. A swirl of emotions flickers across James's features. Relief, anger, betrayal. Beatrice's eyes narrow. The Alden matriarch's posture remains rigid, but the tightness around her lips suggests a subdued rage at being lied to. Finally, boom. James breaks the silence. So you lied, he says softly, eyes locked on Camilla. You told me I was the father. You threatened to go public. You manipulated all of us. Tears spill down Camilla's cheeks. She tries to speak, but her voice falters. I thought it was yours. There was a possibility. I needed security. She glances at Eliana, shame contorting her features. I'm sorry. Eliana feels a wave of conflicting emotions. Her mind replays every humiliating moment she endured because of this woman's claims. Yet deep inside, she senses relief that James isn't the father of Camilla's baby. It removes one massive barrier, though it doesn't erase the affair itself. Beatrice exhales sharply. This entire scandal could have destroyed our family's name and compromised major business deals. Her voice trembles with barely contained fury. She levels a stare at Camilla. You will disappear. No press, no further claims. If you persist, I will bury you in lawsuits. She doesn't wait for a response. Turning to James, and you have a lot to fix. Don't think this absolves you of your stupidity. Camilla chokes on a sob. Without another word, she flees the office. No one stops her. A heavy silence follows. James looks at Eliana, guilt etched into every line of his face. I know this doesn't fix what I did, but please, I'm begging you to give me one last chance. I'll do anything. Before Eliana can respond, Beatrice steps forward. Eliana, she says, voice softer than before. We've all seen the damage, but you're still carrying an Alden child. This is your home if you want it to be. I apologize for my earlier harshness. Eliana glances from Beatrice to James. She hears the faint echo of the unconditional love she once felt for him. But the memory of betrayal still burns fresh. "I can't forget so easily," she says quietly. Addressing James, "You broke my trust. You humiliated me." That doesn't vanish because the other woman turned out to be lying about the baby. James's shoulders slump. "I understand." Benjamin, sensing the emotional weight in the room, clears his throat. Legally speaking, these test results nullify any paternal obligation James might have had. "Eliana, the path forward is your choice." A flicker of uncertainty passes through Eliana. She's relieved James isn't fathering Camilla's child, but the heartbreak remains. Still, she also sees a glimmer of regret that might be real. "I need time," she whispers, voice shaking. "I'll discuss custody and divorce or reconciliation on my terms, not yours." She steps away from them all, heading for the door. For once, she feels a quiet sense of victory. She stood her ground. Camilla's scheme collapsed, and though she hasn't forgiven James, the power to decide her future is finally in her hands. In the hallway, she presses a hand against her belly, letting out a long breath. This war might be winding down, but she knows healing will take far longer. Still, she's free to choose her own path, and that's a freedom worth everything. A month later, Eliana stands in a sunlit nursery filled with soft pastel colors and simple wooden furniture, no sign of the over-the-top opulence that once defined her life. She's moved into a modest condo using a financial arrangement her lawyer negotiated. It's enough to support her and the baby without depending on the Alden family for every expense. Outside, a gentle breeze rustles the tree branches. Eliana inhales the scent of fresh paint and newly laundered baby blankets. She's been building this sanctuary for her child piece by piece. Tiny onesies hang in a small closet. A shelf of children's books lines the wall, including a few classics she loved as a little girl. Her phone buzzes. It's James, texting politely to ask if he can stop by with some baby items he ordered. She debates ignoring it, but decides to let him come. He arrives later that afternoon carrying a bag of baby supplies. He looks different older, weighed down by guilt or perhaps a newfound humility. She offers him tea, and they sit awkwardly in the living room. After a hesitant silence, James speaks. "I've stepped down as CEO," he says quietly. "I realized I needed to fix my life before I can lead a company. Deborah Markham took my place. She's more than capable." Mother wasn't thrilled, but the shareholders approved. He manages a faint smile. "I guess I'm learning to let go of what doesn't truly matter." Eliana nods, eyes drifting over to the bassinet by the window. "I'm sorry it ended that way," she says, meaning it. Despite everything, she can't help feeling a tinge of sorrow for his fallen dreams. He sets the bag aside. "I want to be here for our child in any way you'll allow. I'll take parenting classes, come to doctor's appointments. Whatever it takes." His eyes meet hers, brimming with sincerity. "Not for show, for me, for us, if there's ever a chance." Eliana's heart tugs painfully. She senses real remorse, but the scars of betrayal run deep. "I'm not ready to talk about us yet," she says gently, "but I'll never deny you a relationship with our baby. We can work out a schedule." He nods, a quiet gratitude shining in his gaze. "Thank you." In that moment, an unspoken understanding passes between them. It's not forgiveness. It's the beginning of a possible redemption. Maybe one day she'll trust him enough to share more than co-parenting duties. Or maybe not. But at least the door isn't slammed shut forever. As the sun dips lower, James stands to leave. He hesitates at the threshold, glancing over the cozy nursery. "You've done a great job," he murmurs, voice thick with emotion. Eliana musters a soft smile. "This is my new start," she says. "I won't let the past define my child's life or mine." He nods, stepping out quietly. The door closes, leaving Eliana alone in the golden light of approaching dusk. She listens to the hush of the room, hand resting protectively on her belly. Then her phone pings. A single text from an unknown number. "We need to talk about Camilla. I found something that could change everything." "Grace," Eliana's breath catches. A sudden jolt of apprehension and curiosity ignites within her. What now, she wonders, heart thumping in her chest. Stepping toward the window, she watches the final rays of sunlight fade. She can't escape the feeling that her journey isn't over, that another revelation waits on the horizon. In the quiet hush of that moment, she recalls a question echoing in her mind. Ever stayed silent when it cost you everything? No, she no longer will. If Camilla's secrets run deeper, if the Alden legacy has more skeletons, Eliana will face them head on. Because this time, she's choosing truth over silence no matter the cost. And as her baby stirs in her womb, she knows she has the courage to protect what truly matters.